Alright, let's see if the cops show up now.
1, 2, 3. I don't know, Billy said he was ready.
I didn't. Oh, did he like hesitate?
He said he was ready,
But then he hesitated.
yeah. You ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
So as you've seen just now, we jumped right to the chase on this comparison video. You've seen a lot of you guys wanted to see drag races. Not really our thing. It was kind of fun. I mean, I'll say that. You know, we haven't done it at all. That was the first time. So, you know, where we ride, there's really not much opportunities for that kind of stuff. I mean, we probably could have done it at the Badlands, but it was really, really busy when we were there. So yeah, I mean, we got to do it here. You know, straight in Mexico, I mean, but I don't know, so not really sure how the GoPro footage looked yet. We didn't look at that, so hopefully we got an angle showing you guys at the end. We both let off at like pretty much the same spot. We were racing to a certain like sign or whatever, so, but I got out of the hole, probably pulled like a car. I didn't really see how far ahead I was, but then on the big end, Billy was really catching me, and it was reeling me in fast, like a little bit more, and he would have got me, I think. So, but we both let off right there where we were racing to. So, and this actually was with no tune. So
yeah, we took the tune off, so both stock besides tires and wheels
and exhaust.
So
I'm running the Evo Shocker, for those of you guys that don't know, and my exhaust was open, and I'm not tuned. Don't even get into that. I understand that there's negatives to everything, but I haven't tuned it yet. And Billy's running a Trinity exhaust, a full exhaust, and that was no tune on that, just to make it equal stock for stock. You know, it's just exhausts. So we were just trying to get them both, I don't know, more stock, I guess.
Yeah. For
like a stock comparison, but it was fun. I think with the tune, he would have definitely beat me. Don't really want to keep doing pulls, so we just did the one. But I definitely think he would have had it. Even another 20 feet, maybe?
Yeah.
30 feet. Another car or two, you would have been like right there and then around me.
Yeah, we were even at the end when we both let off.
Yeah.
After me being back.
So it was a really good race. I mean, it was fun.
The Can-am definitely comes out of the hole a lot harder. I mean, I wooded it.
And that was both four-wheel drive.
Yeah, and no boost,
yeah,
just straight to the floor, no trying to brake boost or nothing.
Yeah, right.
And the Turbo S definitely lags off the line. Started pulling good once it gets up there, but it was definitely laggy. So I think that's what the tune kind of gets rid of.
So I mean, stick around. I'm sure we'll do another pull once that one's tuned, and I might tune mine eventually. But so there'll be some more comparisons in that aspect. But for now, we're just gonna leave it at that. But one other big thing we wanted to do outside before we come in here and start doing some ground clearance stuff with the nice flat floor on the concrete, is we wanted to do like a turning radius test. So that should be kind of cool. You know, I'm really curious.
Yeah, I am too.
You know, with the wheelbase makes a difference with turning radius, but so does like how much angle the machine has. Personally, I think I got it. I think the Can-am will win. Just from driving the two machines, and like I've been moving around like moving around like a million times in here, and I feel like mine turns a lot sharper but with the short wheelbase, it might be pretty much the same thing, you know. So we're gonna go outside and we're gonna start both machines in the same point, and we'll just do a full walk and see like where it ends, and set like a soda can on the inside tire. That way width doesn't play into it, and then do it with the next machine and see how many inches away or in front.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it should be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I've never seen anybody do this, so I don't know. This stuff makes this stuff's, I don't know how to say it.
Well, it's like important for us.
Yeah, this stuff really is important. I mean,
we're snaking through real tight,
right,
you know, trails and trees and stuff, and being 72 wide, I mean, you need to have the steering to get around
exactly.
stuff.
So that was something we wanted to do. Unfortunately, we don't have a YXZ here that runs, so we can't do that and throw that into the mix, because I was kind of curious to see like that as well. Because even though I went 72 wide, I went really wide, I feel like I can like snake through like the tight stuff just as well as my 64 wide, because I think mine turns sharper than the YXZ did.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Wheeling the YXZ with him on a couple trips, I would attest to that too.
Yeah, like there was
even I'd
nowhere.
have to back up and he'd snake through somehow tight trees.
Yeah, mine's just really cut, I feel like. So I don't know, figured it'd be a cool test to do, and it's nice out. It's about to get rain for a couple days, so yeah, we're gonna set that up and get right to it. After that, just so you guys can stick around if you want, we're gonna do some ground clearance, do some different widths. I think somebody was asking about width for the rear of the Can-am. Do some different ground clearance in firm and comfort in the Turbo S with the flat ground. I know that was a big thing in our last video.
Overall, also too, we both drove each machine, so we can kind of get our, you know, opinions on each one after driving them for. We probably switched for like a half hour. We did a couple like obstacles that you guys seen already at the cliffs.
Badlands.
The Badlands. I'm sorry. So we both did like a couple of our just like normal obstacles, so we can kind of get our opinions on how they felt and the low gear versus, you know, and everything.
We kind of ripped through the dunes to get to like where the rock stuff is. So we hit some high speed stuff,
jumps.
So yeah, we're gonna get right into the turning radius thing, and then we'll be back in the shop to do the other stuff. All right, so we're starting both rigs right here. You know, it's about 1.5 inches away from this brick line, and then we backed up where like the center of the tire is in the crack of the concrete. So then we're just gonna go full cut. You know, driver and two-wheel drive, and see once we're squared with the shop, you know, because the shop and the house are squared together. So once we're squared with the shop, we'll put a water bottle right next to the front tire, and then we'll do it with an X rig and see, and we'll measure the difference, you know, and see how far apart it is. Pretty excited for this one. We're not really sure if we're gonna move any vehicles, but. You know, I don't know how tight they really do turn. So.
We're about to find out.
Yeah, we're about to find out. Really gonna make it.
Oh, right there, he's back to straight. The side of the house. So we're gonna put the water bottle on the inside of his tire there, and we'll see what the Turbo S will do.
All right, so see how the Turbo S does. Got it lined up the same way, two-wheel drive, full cut. Pretty square. I mean, you'll run into that. Yeah. I honestly didn't expect that.
No, I was looking. If you actually look on the asphalt, you can see your burnout.
Yeah.
On mine.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which is interesting that they ended up at the same spot, but.
Yeah, I mean, so he would have been like touching mine, but he would have had to run the water bottle over to get like perfectly square with the shop. So, in conclusion, they're the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, literally.
So in theory,
to a
the
T.
Can-am should have a tighter turning radius in the wheel.
Yeah, like it has more angle.
Because it has more length, because the wheelbase is
right.
longer, in theory.
Yeah, it has more steering angle because it's able to be longer and turn the same radius, is the way I would call it.
Yeah.
So, you know, kind of confusing, but pretty cool to see. We've been curious since the beginning, so we're gonna pull these back in the shop and we'll get some more comparisons for you guys.
Okay guys, so we're back in the shop now. Figured we'd just get some quick width measurements. It's not really worth filming. So the Can-am front width is at 72.5.
And this is stock wheels with 32 by 10 Roxxzilla stickies. So take it for what it's worth.
Yeah, which are wider, you know, or like a more wide.
Yeah, like the tread is pretty wide.
Yeah.
So
And we're measuring too from like the outside. So total width, if you were trying to cram this in your toy hauler or something, that's what you.
yeah, exactly. And then just another note is the Turbo S is running aftermarket wheels and tires. You know, mine are stock wheels, the aftermarket tires. Yours are aftermarket tires and wheels, but you do have the closest offset,
Yeah,
I believe.
So, yeah, these are 5+1 wheels. And my front width in comfort is 75.5 inches wide.
Yep. And that's actually like a skinnier tread tire, you know, too.
Yeah, so it'd actually be wider.
Yeah, so like if he was running a 32-inch Roxxzilla, he'd be like, I don't know, I'd say probably, you know, I'm not even gonna guess. We're gonna measure the tires real quick for you guys and we'll tell you. Okay, so no more guessing. You know, we measured this tire from, you know, the side of the sidewall to this side, and it was 9.5 inches. And they're both aired at 12 PSI as well. And then we measured this tire from here to here, and that one was 11 inches. So if you use, you know, if you think about it, you're adding an inch to each side because it's 2 inches. So you'd add 2 inches to the width of that machine if you were running a Roxxzilla or a wider tire that's 11 inches wide. So I mean, you know, you'd be 77.5.
Yeah, with 5x1 wheels.
Yeah, so pretty crazy. So, you know, I have wider tires and I'm 3 inches skinnier in the front, in comfort on the Turbo S. All right guys, so we measured the rear of the Can-am and it was 72 3/4. So about a 1/4 inch wider in the rear than the front. And then we measured the Turbo S and that was 75.5. So same as the front end. We're gonna move around, or we're gonna move to some ground clearance measurements. We're gonna do one in the front under the skid. We're gonna do under the diff, I should say, or the lowest point in the front of the machine. And then we're gonna do one in the rear at the lowest point, and then one more like right in here, right in front of the tire, below the trailing arm. So like what your trailing arm would hit, kind of thing. I don't know. They're both running stock trailing arms.
Yeah, and that's a big thing.
And they're both running 32s, so.
Yeah, and trailing arms is one of the main things that something will hit because it drags kind of behind.
Yeah, that's the thing on mine that I've hung up the most is my
Yep.
trailing arms.
So we'll get a measurement quick for that.
So yeah, we're gonna do both measurements on both machines, and Billy's still in comfort with the Turbo S. And then we're gonna raise the Turbo S up into firm, and you know, settle it, drive it around, get it up into firm, and then we're gonna compare that as well, width and ground clearance, to the numbers that we just got from this. So stay tuned. All right guys, so we just measured the front lowest point and it's 15 3/4. And now we're gonna do the rear. And the rear is the exact same, 15 3/4. So moving on to the Turbo S, and like I've said a couple times now, this is in comfort. So this would be the lowest setting. Also guys, this Turbo S is running, what is it, Trail Armor?
Yeah.
Trail Armor skids, and you know, they're a 1/2 inch thick themselves, so they do add some thickness. So I mean, if we're being technical, it's not a stock Turbo S, you know, so
yeah,
you do lose a little bit of ground clearance, but I'd gotta imagine if you care about ground clearance, you're probably running skids as well. So,
yeah.
and the Can-Am's skid plates are pretty well. So I haven't done anything. I haven't had any issues. So if you're on a Can-Am, you might be in the same boat. I don't know. But anyways, what do we got for the front, Billy?
Forgot. 13.
So 13 in the front. So that is, was that 2 3/4 of an inch lower. We were 15 3/4 on this rig, and this is 13. So 2 3/4 less. And then in the rear, we got 13 1/4. So pretty close, you know, 2.5 inches lower than the rear of that. And all right, we're gonna do the trailing arm for trailing arm quick, and then raise this thing up. So this is the other measurement that we're taking right in front of the tire. So, you know, how high of an obstruction you'd clear before the tire would hit and pick you up. So we're right at a foot on the Can-Am. And we're gonna do the same thing on the Turbo S. So the Turbo S has got 11.5, you know, right in front of the tire to the bottom of the trailing arm. And all these numbers in the Turbo S, we're in comfort, and we're gonna raise it up, throw in firm, and remeasure those 3 points, and also the width. So, all right, guys. So we got this thing in monster truck mode, also known as firm. And you gained, what do you got? 14.5 in the front, you said?
Yep. So I gained 1.5 inches.
Yep. And this was just because if you guys can't remember, like myself, I really tried to remember. And this one was 15 3/4.
Yep.
So, you know, take that for what it's worth. We are in firm now. In the rear,
We were at 15.
and this was 15 3/4 as well.
Yeah.
So,
We'll do one more, and we'll do the trailer arm again, just, I don't know if it'll change much. About a foot. Now from 11.5.
yeah, 11.5. So the trailing arm went up about a 1/2 inch. Not really sure how that works, but not going to think about it more than that. The other thing we're going to grab here is width, and we'll get back to you with that. All right, so in firm, the width of the machine is 75 inches in the front and 74.5 in the rear. Yeah.
Yeah, that's too wide.
She's a big girl, you know. So we're debating on doing an overall height, you know, for like guys with enclosed trailers or toy haulers or something. And they might be curious on this measurement, but it's kind of hard to do. Like, what mode do you put that thing in, you know? Because as you lower it, it gets wider, might not fit through the door. As you raise it, it gets skinnier, but then it's 12 feet tall. So it's like, so I guess we'll give you guys a measurement on firm, because that would be, you know, the skinniest thing, which I think is going to be most people's hurdle, is width.
Yeah, probably.
So we'll measure them both and put this one in firm, leave in firm, because that's its skinniest point, I guess. So this machine, the very top point of it is 68 inches. And then the Turbo S is 75 inches.
Man, that thing's got it on both sides.
Did I just blow your mind or what?
Yeah.
So what is that? 7 inches? Yeah. Haven't been in school for a while, so numbers is hard, you know. We're gonna see what else we can compare, and we'll get back to you guys.
Okay, guys, so the next thing we kind of wanted to touch on that we were curious about as well is visibility at each machine. So we set up this bar, it's kind of just a reference point to measure from, just stuffed it in underneath the tires, and then we took this level and I just moved it back in increments until he could see it from his normal riding position. So just sitting back, you know, relaxed like you would normally be driving down the trail. And just to note on this, he is in the lower riding position.
Yeah.
So he's kind of gangster leaned way in there.
I do like the feel myself.
Yeah. So this is how far out ahead to see it. And obviously this is low too. So I guess, I mean, if a bigger boulder you'd see sooner. But we got the level set out to 154.25 inches. So just about 13 feet from just relaxed in there to seeing a level per se on the ground. So yeah, so I'm gonna jump in the Turbo S now and we'll do the same thing and see what kind of differences in visibility we got.
So I just wanted to add one thing, you know, since we're trying to keep this as stock for stock as we can get. You know, obviously each machine does have different things done to them, but you know, these are the stock harnesses that come in it. So I could see, you know, a foot to 2 foot closer, like if I'm driving down the trail and I needed to see, you know, I could do that and like look closer, whereas the stock harnesses in the Turbo S are fixed. So like you can't really get any, you know, any further. Like you can't see more than what you can see harnessed in.
Yep.
So take that for what it's worth. I know a lot of people don't like these harnesses. They don't think they're safe enough or safer to run a fixed harness. But you know, it's just what we're both running, and it's actually what comes stock in both of them. So figured it was worth mentioning.
That's a good point. So yeah, so we'll jump in the other machine and see what we can see.
All right guys, so we got 126.5, and we set up his rig the same way. He's harnessed in, you know, in his comfortable position like we just said. So it's about 28 inches. You know, we don't remember exactly the number, but I know it was like 154 or something. So a little over 2 foot is, he can see 2 foot closer than I could see. So, I mean, you know, but that, and it just worth mentioning, you know, I could probably see a foot or two in front of what the number we had if I just leaned forward. Where harnessed in, you can't really do that. But what you can do is you could just look here at your front camera.
So you can see my tires.
Yeah, which is crazy. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. However, you know, I didn't drive with it, but what do you think of it? I mean, it'd be kind of hard to use it mobbing down the trail.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I used it a couple times on that last trip that you guys seen, and it was only in like rock garden scenarios. And it's still, like, I'd rather trust him to spot me through it versus me trying to look at the camera and trying to do everything myself. I feel like it could help in certain scenarios, but I don't think it really helped me much in those,
Yeah.
per se. But I did have Justin to spot me, which I trust him over the camera because he can tell me exactly where to go. And if I need to turn a little bit, it'd be hard to judge with a camera on,
like
on
what
which
your
way
angle,
to go.
yeah. And, you know, it is easy for us to spot because we're already out of the rig filming anyways, you know, but like if you were just cruising on a trail, like there's some stuff that a lot of people just, you know, drive right through or climb right up where like that might be handy because you don't have a spotter,
Yeah.
you know, but for us, you know, we usually do spot each other in like the nasty stuff just because we're already filming it anyways. So just another cool little example that we thought of that we wanted to do. I know a lot of people think it's really bad, you know, the visibility, and I guess that's just take from that what you want, you know, 2 foot, 20 some inches. It's really not that far in the grand scheme of things, in my opinion. You know, when you sit in each machine, it's like, holy crap. But obviously, you know, you'll hear what we talk about next when we go into like the comparisons of how we feel about each rig's like seating position and stuff. And like Billy said, just to remind you guys, I am in the lowest seating position here, which you can see, you know, my passenger seat is in the high position, driver's seat's in the low position. And my wife's short, so I left it in the high position for her. And I like sitting down low, so. All right guys, so we got the measurements out of the way, and we just wanted to kind of chat for a little bit and touch on some key things that I'll just get them out of the way right away. You know, we talked about it. We have a lot of different audiences kind of thing, like on different videos, a lot more people watch, and our, you know, more of our core videos, not as many watch. So for people that are new here, you might not have seen the why he chose Turbo S video versus the rest of the fleet, but we did touch on these things pretty good in that video. So I just want to mention them in this one, but a couple of the things was, one, cost of aftermarket support. So, you know, A-arm for A-arm, trailing arm for trailing arm, radius rod for radius rod. You know, the Turbo S is a lot cheaper than a Can-am. It's kind of a big thing if you plan on, you know, building your rig or whatever. Definitely keep that in mind.
Super ATV is probably pretty close.
Yeah, there is some you know, better price companies, but like you can get top-notch parts that are, you know, really good stuff for the same price as like the lower quality. And not to rag on anyone, you know, everybody says it, you know, we've never had issues with anything really.
No.
So just keep that in mind, you know, if you're trying to buy like the best of the best, the big name stuff, it's, you know, $2,000 for trailing arms on this versus like, you know, 500 or whatever.
Yeah, they're like $700 for the turbo.
Yeah, so I mean, it's big differences. And, you know, front and lower arms for mine are $600-700 for the top of the line just for lowers, where I think you can get all 4 of yours.
Yeah, mine are like $450 for
So
lowers.
obviously if you went different companies, you'd get it cheaper, but that's just like good stuff, you know, best you can get. Other thing I wanted to, you good?
Yeah, sorry.
Other thing I wanted to move on to was skid plates, stock for stock. You know, the Can-am skid plate is like the UHMV or whatever, and I think it's 3/8 thick, and it's a really good stock skid plate. I mean, you know,
The best I've ever seen on a machine.
yeah, and granted, we haven't seen, I mean, I haven't really looked at like the Talon and the KRX and stuff, but their skid
The
plates.
KRX has an aluminum one, which
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't want anyways,
Yeah.
because that's just good hunt up on stuff. But the Talon's the same as like a YZ or something. It's not much.
Okay, and the Turbo S one was really thin, chintzy, you know,
Terrible coverage.
yeah, not ideal.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, definitely Can-am wins in that book, stock for stock. Obviously, there's millions of options. And for getting a skid plate and being better. So like now he's got trail armor skid plates. He's got more coverage. They're thicker. They're better. But take it for what it's worth. It's
You
really
gotta
all I
pay
can
for
say.
it.
Yeah, right. Other thing I wanted to touch on was front diff versus front diff. And maybe some of you guys don't care about that because, you know, probably a lot of guys don't really thrash their stuff as hard as us. I know a lot of people do, so that's why I wanted to talk about it. But we got some comments in the last video that we did, the part 1 of this, saying that the turbo, doesn't really matter how good it flexes. This was one guy's comment, and because the Can-Am's in 3-wheel drive. That may be true in the 2017 and some of the 2018s, but in 2018, like some models of the XRS came with a locking front diff. It's called the Smart Lock. So I understand a lot of you guys probably know this, and some of you guys probably don't, but it does have modes and then a full lock option. So it's not the Visco Lock diff anymore. It's supposed to be pretty beefy. I haven't had any issues yet with it, so I'm pretty hyped on that. The Polaris, everybody pretty much knows the diff situation and knows, you know, the Turbo S.
One guy said with their junk, but
Yeah. The Turbo S has the RS1 diff, which I think pretty much everybody knows that. It's
Yeah.
not the same diff as a 64 line turbo, and they're supposed to be really good. You know, people in bouncers run them, so obviously anything can break at any time. But I think that diff is better, in my opinion. You know, I watched the forums pretty hard, but it seems like the RS1 diff is better than the Can-Am diff. I do see people breaking the Can-Ams, but it does generally seem like it's usually guys on 35s and hitting that skinny pedal.
Yeah.
And like tuned, you know, and like, I don't know. In my opinion, I've been thrashing mine pretty good. I haven't been stupid. Like it's gone up everything I pointed it at. I guess we'll put it to that way, which is a lot of stuff. You know, we don't just cruise the bunny slopes by any means.
No, not at all.
So like, yeah, I haven't beat the crap out of it, but I haven't had to yet. You know, and I will when the time comes. I will.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll find out. But so that pretty much wraps up the diff talk in what I wanted to say. Yeah, add anything to that, or pretty good on that?
No, I think that's pretty good.
All right, and then I had one other thing to add in there, and that was just overall cost of each machine. So we didn't talk about this, I don't think, in our first video, but this is a 2019, this is a 2020. They're pretty close. The 2019 versus the 2020 Can-Am, they do have some changes, but if you were to try and buy a 2020 Can-Am XRS versus a 2020 Turbo S Dynamix, so you're getting like the toppest of the line over there, it'd be similar, very close in price.
Yeah, for like the RR model.
Yeah.
The new like one.
Yeah, the best of the, like the new best of the best model. So, you know, I think they're right in the mid-20s somewhere.
Yeah.
Typically, you know, and obviously every dealer depends, but that's the top of each line, and that's 2020s. So, just wanted to touch on that. And I think now we can talk about what when we switched brakes.
Yeah, just quick on like how we felt about each machine since we both rode them for probably about a half hour.
Yeah.
We kind of did a, you know, array of different things. We jumped them, we hit, you know, we ripped through the dunes a little bit, rock crawled, you know, real slow speed through like a creek, and then we did a couple little climbs that
In the quarry, we call it.
yeah, so like the OG climbs, you'll probably hear us if you've watched older videos, you know, just a normal, you know, pretty steep looking wall climbs.
Yeah, I mean,
And they are
vertical.
steep.
Yeah.
But, so we did that, and so what'd you think?
I guess first let's start with how you feel about your machine, how I feel about my machine, like after riding them, you know.
Okay, yep.
And I'll say this, you know, I'm the most confident and the
Okay.
most comfortable I've ever been on a machine.
How many, let's start quick first, how many miles do you have on your machine so far?
About 300.
Okay, so 300 miles now, and you bought it brand new. So
Yeah.
this is 300 miles of experience now.
Yeah, so I mean, take it for what it's worth, but in that 300 miles, I'm the most comfortable and confident I've ever been to hawk some hill or climb some wall, you know, anything really. So,
And I'll even attest to that.
Yeah.
Because I could see it. Even I was scared in the last videos. I'm sure you guys saw. But you know, it's really cool seeing how much confidence he's got in it.
yeah, so I don't know what you guys, if you guys are still here watching this video, you know, I don't know what you gathered from like the visibility and the ride height and all that stuff, but sometimes not being able to see as much does help. So like, I feel so low, so stable in my rig, hitting these big hills and these ledges because my center of gravity is low. Like I'm low physically, but I still have the clearance. Mm-hmm. And as well as we did talk about it in this video, but wheelbase. What is the actual measurement on difference? Was it like a foot?
Yeah, it's a foot exactly.
Yeah,
Mine's
that's what I
90
thought.
and his is 102.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So it is a foot. So we didn't talk about it in this one, and our first part to this video we did, but you know, I'm a foot longer. It's gonna hurt in some spots, but so far it really hasn't hindered me anywhere that I can think of. And it's only helped, you know, it gets my front up those ledges, these 10-foot ledges that we somehow just keep finding. And as well as climbing really steep hills, you know, it's just harder to backflip
Yeah.
when it's longer. So I guess that's all I can really say about mine. Like I already said, I've wheeled it pretty hard, so as far as the durability standpoint goes, you know, I'm pretty comfortable with it. I think it's a pretty stout rig. I'm still running stock axles.
Yeah. What, have you broke anything?
No, absolutely nothing. So, and I haven't really done much to it. You know, I did errands. Could have been, this last trip out, I will say, I probably would have been to an errand. But I was, you know, I was wheeling it. I was comfortable in it, so I was hawking some stuff, you know.
Yeah, you knew you could.
Right,
At that point.
and
You know,
when I was
no
running
worries.
stock ARMs, I was more hesitant to bump these 2-3 foot walls, ledges, whereas now I was like, all right, my front end should be good to go, I'm gonna hit this stuff. So, I don't know, I'm pretty happy with my rig, I have no regrets whatsoever. The only thing that I do regret a little bit is I wish I could have a diff with like that much more confidence, you know, I don't know. It's really all I can say. That could just be me. I'm like scarred from our YXZ experience with just every big trip we would do, somebody in our group would blow a diff, you know, and at $800 to $900 a pop and no fix, it's not a very warm feeling.
No, it's not.
So,
I got a quick question too for you. What about like steering when it's in diff lock and such?
so it's,
You know, like how is it compared? You know, you roll in a YXZ versus like a Polaris or
yeah, so YXZ and diff lock, which, you know, some of you guys don't need diff lock. A lot of you guys probably don't need diff lock, and we don't need it that often, but
No.
a lot of the times we do need it. It's like sometimes we do need diff lock, and I'll start at the bottom of the tier and, you know, take it for what it's worth. I know a lot of the YXZ guys, you know, think we're like just bashing them, but Just telling the truth. The steering in diff lock sucks. It's absolutely horrible. You can barely steer. I mean, you gotta muscle that thing. So when you're hucking some hill, you know, and sometimes we boot stuff in second gear, granted we're gear reduction with our YXZs. So we're hitting stuff, you know, pretty hard. And to have to muscle it like that while you're hitting stuff with momentum, I mean, gets spicy, we'll put it to you that way.
It does.
So they'll start there. Next I'll go to Can-am. I do think the Polaris steering is better. The Can-am, it's not bad at all. Like, I don't complain about it. I don't think you've ever heard me complain about it. I'm like, geez, I can't steer this thing.
No.
But the YXZ, when I got it, I'm like, oh my God, you know, like this thing can't steer it. But I can't really complain, but I definitely will say that whatever they've got going on, leaving it like kind of locked, and then some magnet locks are up, you know, that steering is really good. You can't even tell it's in four-wheel drive. Whereas mine, you can feel it, which that is something in 2020 that they did do. So this isn't meant to be a 2019 Can-am versus 2020, but I'll just touch on it quick since we're talking about it. And they did gear the rack down. So it's more turns to get to lock, but it's easier turning.
Yeah, right, it makes sense.
So hopefully you guys got that. But
yeah, I was just curious coming from the YXZ and knowing, you know, the Polaris. Because I didn't really, I mean, I drove it. I guess I didn't run it in diff lock, but I didn't notice anything. I thought it steered really good for what it, you know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That is one more thing I'll add. You know, he only just has two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, which is all you need because your steering's really good in all of it. My steering is really good in four-wheel drive trail or trail active or whatever. It's just diff lock when it's kind of hard, but it's really not as bad. It's not bad. So trail active and trail, that's pretty good. So and that's what it's a really capable machine in trail and trail active.
Yeah.
You don't need diff lock that often. So I guess we'll move on to, you know, your feeling in the Turbo S.
Okay, so
And I just want to, maybe you were going to go there, but I just want to start with this. But you don't have much seat time. You don't have near as much seat time as I do in this rig. And, you know, that plays a big factor in things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it really does. And even so, you guys know I came from a YXZ. I came from Tiki, and you guys probably, if you've seen, I backflipped it, and that still haunts me. It even haunted me in the end of the days of that. So that does play a part in like the new machine. But so far, I have no complaints. The one big thing that I've noticed with it, but I honestly think it's just all in my head, is like,
the center of gravity.
It just feels like, and it might not even be the center of gravity. It's just kind of where you're sitting. It feels like you're gonna backflip. But then again, I backflipped before, so it's really, you know, hard to judge if it's me or if it's actually the machine. I don't know the tipping point of it.
I hate to interrupt, but you just made me think of something. And hopefully whoever was curious on this visibility part of the video is still here watching, but he is running 2-inch lowering seat bases.
Oh yeah.
So it's not stock seating position. That's really unfortunate because, you know, we see like the stats of these videos and you guys don't watch them very long. So it's like whoever's saying that probably isn't even here anymore. But anyways, sorry. So if you're still here, L&W Seat Lowering Bases lower about 2 inches. So those were.
Yeah, and in my opinion, that's kind of a must. It's kind of like straight up, and I do like a forward riding position. That's why I picked the Polaris, but it's just, I don't know, it's like almost too aggressive of a forward. So the lean back, it really helped for comfort, and I think I wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want it stock, so it is what it is. So they're in there, but
yeah, going back to what you were saying, sorry, you were talking about the seating position. Basically, how it makes you feel like the center of gravity is higher.
Yeah, so it just makes you feel like you're gonna backflip on steep hills. And like I said, I mean, take it for what it's worth. It might just be all in my head. I'm not used to it. I have 65 miles on it now. I haven't broke anything, which I guess I really wasn't beating it too hard. A couple times I was giving her the sauce.
A couple times you bumped it pretty good.
But other than that, I mean, I was kind of just trying to feel out the machine and break it in and do all that. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have any complaints. That's basically the biggest one. It's just, it just feels scary at sometimes. But other than that, like jumping wise and stuff, I think it jumps awesome. Not that we do that ever, but
Yeah.
I got it. If I want to huck something, I know it's going to jump great.
Yeah,
And
right.
the suspension seems, you know, pretty dialed for stock, so.
Mine jumping, mine jumped good on the big jumps. That was something I didn't touch on. It jumped good on like the big long jumps, but sometimes like a short little pop, it kind of wanted to nosedive a little bit, depending on how you hit the jump, where
Yeah.
it didn't matter with yours, you could just hit it however, and it would fly really good. Which, that's could come back to the way mine's set up.
Yeah, our wheelbase even, because longer, obviously, you need a more longer takeoff.
Yeah, right. But, I didn't even think to talk about it because it doesn't bother me. So, I don't know, not really the channel to watch if you're mainly, trying to huck some dunes, but we do try and send it a little bit and share with you guys what we get out of it, so.
Yeah. So another point I want to touch on, so now I'll probably just go into a little bit of comparing how I feel,
Yeah.
about driving the Can-am. So like we said, I drove for like 30 minutes, I jumped it. Like he said, it wasn't really the best jump for it, I don't think. So it did kind of nose, but it wasn't like it was bad, but it was just, it wasn't as good as the Turbo S, but it was more of like a kicker jump, which usually any machine, I think, doesn't really jump those very well. Whatever they got going on, it worked and it jumped pretty good. But so that, I'll touch on that. I do think that the Can-am handles like choppy bumps better, like they're real small. So if you're going through the dunes, there's all them little ruts and stuff. I think it handled it a lot better. And I guess I never really got it going real fast, but all in all, I think it just rode a little bit better and smoother compared to mine.
I would agree with that, coming from my standpoint. Obviously, we switched machines. That was the first thing I thought. I thought you felt more of the little 1 foot chatter bumps.
Yep.
Whereas mine kind of soaked it up, which I think a lot of that plays into the fact that your tender springs are completely smashed.
Yeah, so it's already settled. The tenders are completely collapsed, so it's
Yeah.
just rolling on the hard spring.
Right, so it only makes sense. But I do think it swallowed up the big stuff really well, and I think the adaptive suspension may be the cause of that. I don't know, go into firm when it hits a bump.
Yeah, I mean, you jumped it. And
Yeah, it jumped really well, felt really good. I don't think mine felt bad when I would land. Like the hit wasn't bad, it was just the fact that it would kick me.
yeah, it was smooth.
Yeah,
it
right.
wasn't like it was raw. It didn't bottom out. Or
Yeah,
anything.
that's
It was
what
just-
I mean, yeah. So I guess that's the only real thing, which in theory we should be able to fix that with some tenders.
Yeah,
And obviously kind of a downside in my opinion, we don't know, but the higher you go, the more uneasy you're gonna feel.
yeah, and that's just a learning point. So
Yeah.
so I guess we'll keep going on with that. So I'll get back into the Can-am. So I drove it, the dunes. We got that over with. So then I went down into the Rock Creek or whatever. Low gear is hands down better in the Can-am versus the Polaris. I mean, it's still fast. I mean, you can still bump stuff.
Yeah, I can still hit something at 40 mile an hour, 50 mile an hour, like
Yeah, it's not like it's super slow, but it
it's
is.
screaming at that, but
Yeah.
like you have the wheel speed, like instant wheel speed like that. So
Yeah,
but the coolest part is like you're saying, is low is very low. So like in the rock garden,
yeah, it's
instant engagement. It's not like kind of
It's-
slipping the belt.
yeah, it's smooth. It's not. I've not. We've noticed with the Polaris, it's a little jerky.
Yeah, and like clunky and jerky, like
Yeah.
it's really noisy engagement.
Sounds really scary, but I mean, then again, I can crawl slow, but it's just not as smooth, and it isn't as like sometimes if it gets real bound up, I gotta really kind of lay into it, and it'll just like blow them off for a second and pop over something, completely out of control.
It's kind of
Versus,
scary. But
yeah, the Can-am will, hunker and get.
it'll literally crawl like a Jeep with double low.
Yeah. Yeah, there'd
which
be
is
no
sick,
problem like crawling with 35s even. I still think it's plenty low for that.
I think low with 35s would probably be similar to the way low with a Turbo S on 32s is.
Yeah,
Maybe even a little better.
I think it would be better to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got that figured out. So the low was really good. Then we went down, so then we went through the creek and we did our wall climbs like I was saying earlier. And the Can-am, I will point this out, we climbed this like dirt hill climb and it was real steep at the top, the crest. And the visibility in the Can-am I thought was worse than the Polaris on something like that. Yeah. Other than that, I didn't really have any issues really with seeing anything that I needed to see, I guess. So it wasn't bad until I just noticed it there. And it was just a really steep crest, which any machine that's gonna have, you know, some visibility issues, but that's one spot I did notice it. Other than that, climbing the hills in general and then the rock garden, you feel safer. I'll just put it, I mean, that's probably the best word for it. You're just in the machine, you're low, doesn't feel at all like it's gonna backflip. It's just, you're kind of just in there. It's still, you still know you're at a really serious angle, but you feel safe. You don't feel like it'll backflip, which was huge. That's probably the biggest thing for me, coming, you know, knowing I backflipped already and stuff. And that was, it was really cool, and it was really, you know, a settling feeling knowing that I was, you know, settled. So that's, I mean, that's probably about it for like differences that I've noticed. The power and everything seemed about the same.
Yeah.
I mean, all that seemed,
last thing, I guess I shouldn't say last thing. I think I got two more things in my brain spooled up. One was gas consumption. I don't know tank size, but I do know it was like, what, 2.5 miles per gallon?
yeah,
Better in the Can-am.
yeah, where's mine?
So like we couldn't really go by like, oh, I had a half tank left, he was empty. Because I don't really know, I didn't look that up on whose tank's sized to what.
I think yours is a little bigger. I know mine's like 9 gallons, I think, and yours might be like 10 hours.
So normally we don't care about this. I don't really care about this. I mean, I guess I do in a certain sense, you know, like, you know, we know that we can go out for a 12-hour day in the mountains, long, far, hard, come back with the YXZs, and the Can-am was right there with those.
Yep.
And you have enough gas, you know, so that when we get a new machine, it's always like, you know, like, do we have enough gas for that, you know? And so that's kind of why we paid attention to it this first trip, you know, coming from that, we really don't care. Personally, I don't really care what gas mileage it gets, but we did do the math and figure it out, A, for this video to tell you guys, and B, for our own sake to know that, like, you'll be running on some fumes.
Yeah.
Because, like, I was low in some of our Taggart Creek rides.
Yeah.
So, like, we just wanted to note that so we know what kind of, how they do for gas, you know. So I think technically mine was like 10.5 miles per gallon, right?
Yeah, and mine was like 8.5.
Yeah, so it was about 2 mile per gallon difference, which added up, we rode for like a solid day and a half, I'd say.
Yeah.
And he was empty, low fuel light flashing, and I had like 3 bars of fuel left out of 8, so a little bit less than half tank. You know, so I had quite a bit of gas left in comparison.
Yeah.
So just want to mention that. And then completely different end of the spectrum here, but stock for stock cage. You know, we've seen some Can-ams take some pretty serious tumbles and come out okay. We've also seen some pictures of them. I've seen some pictures of them pretzeled up pretty bad, you know, so I think it could go either way, but I'll say it in my opinion, I think the Can-am cage is generally stronger than the Turbo S cage factory in stock form. I understand that they both go in some kind of situation.
Yeah.
And I'm going to cage my rig, so I mean, take that for what it's worth. But I do feel comfortable. I still feel like it will protect me until I get a cage, whereas he's like,
that's
scared that this soda can might crumble, you know.
That is true. I forgot to mention that. So that goes along with just feeling safer. That is, you know, I know the cage is pretty stout on it, especially for what we're doing with it. You know, if you're doing 90 miles an hour across a desert, obviously I don't think either cage would be good.
No, but one little flop or something, or, you know, a roll backwards.
Yeah, I think the Can-am would be okay.
Yeah.
Versus,
I hope to not find out. Hopefully be caged before we find that out. But Other than that, I think that pretty much wraps it up.
Yeah.
This is a long video, guys. Hopefully, if you're still here, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with us. You guys can get some of our merch. I've been kind of plugging that lately. We're both wearing it. I've got the Can-am stuff on. He's got the YZ stuff on. You guys can get that on Teespring. The link is in the description below. And probably the biggest thing that I can ask or say is, if you guys got like riding buddies, everybody's got a crew they kind of ride with, ask them if they watch us. If you like our videos, ask them, and if you made it to this point, you must like it somewhat. But just ask them if they watch our videos. If not, shoot them over a link to one of our cool videos, and maybe we can get some more followers. So trying to push and grow and just be able to do this more, and get in depth, and maybe one day get more machines. And we like to really, truly find differences, as you guys see in this video, which I don't see too often.
No.
Paper is one thing, but paper doesn't tell you how far out you can see.
Yeah.
It doesn't really tell you how far turning radius is.
Real world stuff that you guys would want to.
Yeah, the paper tells you the width is 72, but it's really 75.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know. So thanks for watching, guys, and I think we're going riding next.
Yeah, there should be a riding video next.
Yeah, so that's really exciting for us. Be a day trip down to the cliffs. We'll find out if we get to go to Moab, I think, in a week or two.
Yeah.
And that, if we get to go, that'll be coming up quick. So hopefully Utah opens up and we can go shred Moab. That'd be really exciting. So stay tuned, guys. Got some good stuff coming.